Hello, friends. My name is Miss Jara.
Hi, boys and girls. My name's Miss Kristen, and I'm super excited to share this wonderful story with you all today. So, after you sit back and watch this video of this story we're going to share with you, we have a super fun activity planned at the very end that you can easily do from home. So, I'm super excited to share that with you all today.
Today I'm going to be reading you a story about magic. The book I chose to read today is named The Magic Hill. The author or the writer of this book is named Milne Brown, and the artist behind the pictures, otherwise known as the illustrator, is named Isabel Borden Brown. Now, to start, something may seem different with this book. Where's the page cover? Where are the pictures? Where's the title? If we look really close, we can see that there are a bunch of little flowers all over the front cover. Now, although this book might seem plain and bland, I believe that there is a mystery in this book that requires us to read it in order to find out what the message is. So let's get started. Once upon a time, there was a king who had 7 children. The first 3 were boys, and he was glad about this because a king likes to have 3 sons. Why do you think the king would like to have a son? Do you think the son could be the next king? But when the next 3 were boys also, he was not so glad, and he wished that one of them had been a daughter. So the queen said, "The next shall be a daughter." And it was, and they decided to call her Daffodil. When the Princess Daffodil was a month old, the king and queen decided to give a great party in the palace for the christening. A christening is a religious event for babies. The fairy Mumfrin was invited to be godmother to the little princess. "She is a good fairy," said the king to the queen, "and I hope she will give Daffodil something that will be useful to her. Beauty or wisdom or riches or goodness," said the queen. "Or goodness, as I was about to remark," said the king. So you will understand how anxious they were when Fairy Mumford looked down at the sleeping princess in her cradle and waved her wand. "They have called you Daffodil," she said, and then she waved her wand again. "Let daffodil the gardens fill. Wherever you go, flowers shall grow." There was a moment of silence while the king tried to think this out. "What was that?" he whispered to the queen. "I didn't quite get that." "Wherever she walks, flowers are going to grow," said the queen. "I think it's sweet." "Oh," said the king. "Was that all? She didn't say anything about—" "No." "Oh, well." He turned to thank the very Mumfrin, but she had already flown away. Do you think the king is happy with this choice? It was nearly a year later that the princess first began to walk, and by this time everybody had forgotten about the fairy's promise. So when he came back from hunting one day, the king was rather surprised to find his favorite courtyard, where he used to walk when he was thinking, dotted with flowers. Where do you think these flowers came from? Let's make a prediction. "What does this mean?" he said sternly to his chief gardener. "I don't know, your majesty," said the gardener, scratching his head. "It isn't my doing." "Then who has done it? Who has been here today?" "Nobody, your majesty, except for her royal highness Princess Daffodil, as I've been told. Though how she found her way here, such a baby and all. Bless her sweet little—" "That will do," said the king. "You may go." For now he remembered this was what the fairy Mumford had promised. That evening the king and queen talked the matter over very seriously before they went to bed. "It is quite clear," said the king, "that we cannot let Daffodil run about everywhere. That would never do. She must take her walks on the flower beds. She must be carried across all paths. It will be annoying in a way, but in a way it will be useful. We shall be able to do without most of the gardeners." "Yes, dear," said the queen. "Did you predict correctly? Did you predict that Princess Daffodil was the one leaving the flowers everywhere?" So Daffodil, as she grew up, was only allowed to walk on the beds, and the other children were very jealous of her because they were only allowed to walk on the paths, and they thought what fun it would be if only they were allowed to run about on the beds just once. But Daffodil thought what fun it would be if she could run about the paths like the other boys and girls. Have you ever felt jealous of somebody before? What about? One day, when the princess was about 5 years old, a court doctor came to see her, and after he looked at her tongue, he said to the queen, "Her Royal Highness needs more exercise. She must run about more. She must climb hills and roll down them. She must hop and skip and jump. In short, your Majesty, although she is a princess, she must do what other little girls do." "Unfortunately," said the queen, "she is not like other girls." And she sighed and looked out the window. And out of the window, at the far end of the garden, she saw a little green hill where no flowers grew. So she turned back to the court doctor and said, "You are right. She must be like other little girls." So she went to the king, and the king gave Princess Daffodil the little green hill for her very own. And every day the princess played there, and flowers grew, and every evening the girls and boys of the countryside came and picked flowers. How do you exercise at home? I know I like to play with my friends outside. So they called it the Magic Hill, and from that day onward, flowers have been grown on the Magic Hill, and the boys and girls have laughed and played and picked them. The end. What a happy ending. Princess Daffodil was able to play with the kids on the Magic Hill while planting beautiful flowers along the way. Now, let's catch up to Miss Kristen to complete a magical activity.
All right, boys and girls, so we just got done reading our story and we learned about Princess Daffodil and her magical power to spread flowers everywhere she walks. Isn't that so cool? What kind of magical power do you think you would like to have if you could have one? Would you want flowers to grow when you walked? What would you like to do? Would you be able to disappear, read minds? What kind of powers would you guys like to have? That's super fun to think about. So, as we mentioned, we do have an activity to go along with our story that we just read. And since I mentioned Princess Daffodil has the magical power to make flowers grow as she walks, what better activity to do than to do a craft making flowers? This is perfect for springtime since it is March right now and we're going into April soon. We're going to be seeing all of the flowers growing and coming out of the ground, so we could bring some brightness into your home and we are going to make flowers. So we can use a variety of different art materials for this that you can find around your house. I'm going to show you my example and then I'll discuss some different ideas that you could do for your projects. So this is what Miss B created here. I chose to use these cute little pastel colored cupcake tins that I found at the store, but you could also find these probably around your house. And I used them and these smaller ones to make my flowers here. I also have this glittery tape that I used to make the stems of my flowers. You could use any other materials for these. If you have pipe cleaners around your house, you can use pipe cleaners, toothpicks, paint, anything. Don't feel bad if you don't have any of these items because you can use anything. I chose to use a blue piece of paper because it makes me think of the sky as the background of my flowers here. And then I also broke apart some pieces of cotton ball here, ripped them apart and used it to make little clouds for my sky. And then I just used some paint here at the bottom and some dark green and light green to make some grass here. So as I mentioned, you can use any items you would like to make this project. You can paint it if you have paints, if you have markers, crayons around your house. To use the stems, like I said, I used glittery tape that I found at the dollar store. If you guys don't have glittery tape like that around your house, it's totally fine. As I said, you can draw anything. You can also use little pipe cleaners that you can make to use the stems. Or, and like I did, if you have cupcake tins. These are cute little ideas to make flowers that look different. And then I also found mini ones that I used for the center of my flower. If you can't find cupcake tins around your house, that's perfectly fine. You could always just crumple up a piece of colored paper, white paper, anything that you wanted. You can paint them. So like I mentioned, if you don't have cupcake tins like I used, you can go ahead and just use a scrunched up piece of paper, tissue paper, anything. And then like I mentioned, I chose to do blue for my background, but you can choose any colored paper that you would like if you wanted. If you just want to use white and whatever, that is totally fine. If yellow makes you think of spring and summertime, or green does, whatever you would like to use, go ahead and use that. I can't wait to see all of your creations and all of the different items that you find around your house to make these projects. I'm sure your parents or your family will love to hang them around the house. So make sure you send in photos so that Miss Jara and I can see your creations, and I hope you really enjoyed the story that we read to you today and the activity that you can now do related to our story and Miss Daffodil that we learned about. Thank you, boys and girls, for paying attention and listening today.